Alright, another Dewalt 54 volt saw. American version actually. 60 volt max. Only 54 volt marked over here. They are only 54 volts. Plus extra warnings on it, so she must be from the US. No year on it. DCS577. Right, what's wrong with her? Oh, nasty. So that's a bearing. Not so bad. She's obviously done quite a bit of work. No shame in a bearing failing on it. Back of the top of the armature, big bearing, normally collapses. It's a bearing, they're going to fail eventually. Doesn't matter. It's not too bad when they've done this amount of work. As long as the motor's starting on it, you're good to go. Change the bearing, should fix the problem. So we'll get into this one and fix her up. I've done quite a few of these now, so it would be a fairly common problem. Oh, somebody does not want that to come off. Just wait. Prise normally takes it off. Yeah, wasn't too bad. Now, and here, so we spring clip, or ring spring. To prise it up, and take it off. Don't want to put a kink in it. I'm taking it off so it's hard. Putting it on, it'll be even worse. That's what it is. Just a wee flat piece of spring steel. Coils around a lip on here. Now lift your guard off. That's the spring for returning it. Now we're going to open up this gearbox, so get rid of as much of the sawdust as possible, just so that it doesn't get into the actual gearbox. So that bearing's fine. Problem is this one up on here. For this here armature. That's just a seal. That grease is a wee bit cooked too, so I'd actually clean that out. Has to be washed out anyway, because generally when that bearing fails, yeah, it puts a debris. So it's part of the actual cage inside the bearing and the gearbox, which you really do not want. So that's the bearing we want out. But it comes out this way. So we have to take apart the whole motor to get into that bearing. That's it. Take that off. It's just a battery holder. That off. Take the bottom one. To get this wee clear plastic clamp as well. It's just to hold them screws down, or them wires down. Now, more screws for the motor. Make sure you don't catch any wires when you're pulling it off. Pull off your stator. That's it there. And this is the bearing, the motor we need to get out now, the armature. That one's okay. And there's our bad bearing. Racing all coming out of it. No wonder she sounds rough. And the amount of damage, teeth are actually fine. So, get that out. It's not screwed on. Put the motor. Will give us all a good clean. Get all the sawdust out of there as well. Clean out this whole motor assembly. Or gearbox, sorry. Because that's a debris and metal inside there now. They have to be got out before we reassemble this. Otherwise it's going to destroy the gears. There will be a surprising amount of metal in this. Now, all cleaned up, ready to go. Just make sure this may look like an oil seal inside there. It's not. That's the bearing seal. Don't be leaving that on. Make sure you get it out. They do tend to stick inside. Right. Get the bearing off now. I would like to leave that as it is. Only change the top one. If you're doing it at home, I would recommend you just change this one. What is she? 6002. She's a high quality China. So put on a good fag or NSK bearing 6002. Replace that one. This one has the actual tackle pressed onto it. That is very brittle. That's a magnetic pickup for the speed control on the motor. So there's 3 Hall effect sensors at the back of the board down on here, and they pick up the magnetism on that ring that controls the speed. Had it at all, press against it, that's going to crack. That's the motor destroyed. You're not going to get that replacement part, because that motor, that armature there, probably costs about 150 quid. So if you're going to take that bearing off, do it very, very gently. I'm going to chance taking it off. Hopefully it pulls off along with the bearing. Normally I just change this bearing. I think we'll get away with it. Sir. That's it. That's it. Right, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Came out quite easily. So that's your magnetic pickup. There's a wee steel washer underneath it. And it's a 608 bearing on the bottom. Press a 608 onto there. And a 6002 onto here. Then we'll press the taco back onto it. Now, be sure not to damage the stacked taco. Only press on the brass, only the brass. Don't over tighten it neither. That's it. One armature, new bearings. So this will now run a whole lot smoother. Those two new bearings. And use rubber seal bearings as well, don't use the steel metal shielded. Get your housing on and press your bearing in. That's it. Now this will snap on, so watch the fingies. Press her down. Put your switch roughly in position. Lastly, bit of grease. There's just a wee back support, the back of the armature. Don't forget your oil seal. Next one's your guard. Turn spring. It's long bit, pushes in there. It's that hole. The actual guard, hooked part of the spring, hooks onto here. Hook that on. Push this onto the hole. You may have to just poke that spring a bit, get it centered, drop the guard down fully, sort of clears this track for the spring to go into, this ring spring. This is the difficult bit, gently prising this on, same as sticking it out, start at one end and just slowly work your way around. That's that. And last but not least, side handle.